This is the Bonus Section Podcast, episode number 17. Why is your time really your most precious asset? Are you the type of person that knows you were meant for something much greater in this lifetime, and that somewhere inside of you there's a bigger version just trying to break free, but in spite of all your self-development, you just can't seem to find the way up? Well then, hey, you're definitely in the right place. I'm Danny Griffin, the founder of the Bonus Section and the host of this podcast, and a person just like you trying to learn how to live the most fulfilling life possible. Now, to help you take immediate action to get moving in hopefully what is a better direction for you, we'll take the notes from each episode and we'll post them for a short period of time over at freethinkingtools.com, freethinkingtools.com, just like it sounds. And then we're going to move them over to what will become a membership site where hopefully we can turn this critical thinking thing into almost like a gym for your mind. All right. So I want to talk about this, though. This was a tough subject. It's something that really motivated me, and I started to call time the greatest currency. And that really, and I'll explain why in a second. There's been a lot going on. I'm at that point in life where I have parents and in-laws getting older with some challenges, and it really begins to put that midlife where I'm at in perspective, and you think deeper about this continuum of time. And so in conversation, I kept referring to time in certain ways, and I think trying to put my hands around it and grab it and make it perhaps make sense for me. But I thought it was something we should all stop and really think about, especially if you're younger listening to this. I really want you to hear this. And if you're older and you're at the tail end of life and you know that, I think it's important to really, try to make that the best quality time that you ever can, no matter what's happened in the past. All right. So let's talk about this. The first point I wrote down here is time is an intangible asset, meaning you can't touch it, which is why we take it all for granted. See, when we're young, we really want to become achievers. We don't want to just survive like an animal. We want to matter. We want our body of work, what we do for a living, to matter. And again, don't get me wrong, all of us just want to put food on the table, water in a glass, and a roof over our heads. I get that. That's the basic reason. I was talking to one of my kids today, talking about, look, don't forget why we do this work to begin with. Take care of that stuff first and control it and save initially, so that you're always protected in those core things that you need to survive. But then there's that thing that's just nagging us, and that's that qualitative thing. So there's the very practical side of what we do with our time, and that is survival stuff. But then you want to thrive, and I get it. That's what this whole podcast is about. Where's that beyond? Where's that bonus section? Who could we become in that time if we could critically think our way there? So the first thing that's underlying all of that, it hits me, is time. It's this continuum of time that we just say our life. It's the little quip is, it's the dash between your starting date and your ending date. It's the dash. That's the thing that we're talking about here. So, but because it's intangible, we tend to get it confused, or it confuses us. And we're always trying to, do something that we can in the moment. Or, oh my gosh, I forgot to do that with my time. And, oh my gosh, time has slipped by and I didn't do it. Or I'm trying to plan too much in the future. You see what I mean? When it's intangible and it's this big, huge asset, I can make an argument, the most important one, your living time, right? Your life. Your living time is your life. It's the most important asset. I think I'd have to think about it. I hate to make absolute statements in the heat of a passionate podcast, but it is at least one of the most significant intangible assets in life, because it is time, ours. So we can't put our hands on it. We can't predict it. We can't change what we've done with it in the past. We can make corrections along the way. But I've become much bigger as time has gone on taking my time to strategize. And that's why I say we take the notes for you in these podcasts so that you can just take these things and think through it. I will continue to develop out formulaic approach for you so that you can harness this, make it better. But as I start these podcasts here early on, I'm not sure where the journey will take me. I can just share what I know. And I know that you better become conscious of time as an asset. That's my first point here. The next point really goes deeper into, I don't know why Einstein keeps coming up every time I sit down to do a bonus section podcast. Maybe it's because I'm a big fan of the simplistic side of Einstein that I'm aware of, that he was a real simple thinker. He used his creative imagination a lot. I mean, I'm sure if I read a book, I'd see the quantitative side of it. In fact, when I was doing a little bit of soft research for this podcast, I started to get into the mathematical and scientific formulas, and I'm like, right? So my brain blew up. I'm no mathematician out of the womb. Not that I don't appreciate math, statistics, and the stories that they tell. Everything seems to be math behind the scenes. I just wasn't interested in going there. So I'm going to take the creative imagination side of Einstein and understand that when he was challenging theories that were in place, he saw the speed of light as a travel along time. And he saw himself sitting along that beam of light, traveling along with it. And so he gave these concepts a very simplistic look. And it's fascinating when you really think about that. So just get up above your timeline, your lifeline, right? Get up above it and look at it and just imagine it's, you can see the past to a certain extent, and maybe you've forgotten a lot of it. You want to forget, or you just forgot, whatever it is, but that's the past. It is what it is. I mean, now there are things that happened back there that you still have the present and the future to deal with. I have a beautiful story that my daughter was involved with recently, helping somebody go back in time and fill in some blanks. And it's powerful. It's a powerful look back. But again, unless you get up above it, you can't see that that's simply possible. Because when you're down here and you're running along in life today, it's how many hours do I have today before I have to get home, before I have to eat, before I have to go to sleep and get up and do it all over again. That's the rhythm of the day. So there are these micro usages of our time that catch us up, and before you know it, 4 years is gone, 5 years is gone. And it might have been quality, but sometimes we're not even conscious that it was, and we will look back, we fret it. Don't do that. Just get up above the whole thing and say, is this thing going the way I would like it to go? And if you're screwed up right now in life and you're struggling, go back to the basic usages of time. Are you holding down some financial position or a job that makes you feel good about even working with your hands? Stop being so highfalutin. You got an education and you can't get down and dirty. There's something beautiful about being able to simply go to work to get an exchange of value. See, this is where I got screwed up with trying to wrap my arms around time, because I started to talk about currency. And currency has a lot to do with that exchange of value. So the currency of my hard time worked for a day's work, I get cash in return. And that concept of money allows me to buy food, allows me to buy water, allows me to buy a roof over my head, hopefully. There's something beautiful about that. What is so wrong about feeling so good about your ability to survive on your own? It's called self-efficacy, the ability to take care and be capable of existing in the world. It's actually one of the core pillars of self-esteem. It's beautiful. But now let me go beyond that and say, okay, so once all that was done, in a singular day, for example, if we can just wrap our and again, time is very tangible to the extent that we are on this solar system and we can calculate or assign value to how long it takes to go through a day, a component of time, a unit of time as a day. Well, it doesn't take us all day to do the job, to feed ourselves, to drink, to eat, to do all the biological basics that are in Maslow's hierarchy. It doesn't take all day. It's that other piece of it. That piece. See, I think that's what the bonus section is all about. It's that other piece that when you're done, are you still babbling on about how tough life is or what's going wrong? Or are you just wasting time mindlessly? Are you allowing people to manipulate your ability to critically think about your own time? In other words, has something, and I don't want to hurt any gamers out there or anybody that does not think it's great entertainment. If you love it and you're making a living from it, bravo. My mind is blown. But I'm just saying, Are you mindlessly going through these things, or are you engaged? Is this bringing you to a new level of understanding? Are the synapses growing? Is the quality of your life feeling like it's up there? So what we have to do with time to survive and make that dash longer, healthier, once we do that stuff, is there the bonus section where the curiosity, the ability to creatively think, the ability to do something that matters, affect the lives of others. See, once you take care of yourself, oh my gosh, what an incredible opportunity to entertain others, care for others, support others, lift others up. What a wonderful place that could be as well. So simplifying that into that 1 unit of time, what did I do to survive? And what did I do to work on my bonus section? And when I wake up the next day, how do I feel about it? And of course, physically and mentally, there are plenty of continuum of time days, 24 hours, where we wake up like, I can't do it today. I don't feel it's okay. Sometimes that's why nature is really there, so that you can sit, lower the sail on the boat that you've been sailing into your bonus section, and it's been rough and it's been difficult and all those good things that come. You don't have it today? Lower the sails, ride with the waves. Don't fight it. That's okay too, because sometimes just relaxing. Why do you think yoga is so popular now? Meditation has now come into its own. It's been around forever. People that understood the value of those moments of peace. Pretty simple. But you got to get up above these units of time. The big one, the small ones, the split days between what I have to do and what I'd like to do. Pretty simple. And the critical thinking to get you there takes a few minutes on a podcast, right? The next point that I wanted to cover is your life lived is a piece, okay? Is a piece used up. It's a piece of time used up. Your life lived. So again, going to that higher concept, it's just this piece, okay? It's just a piece of time that you've used this all up. So when you look at this, again, you can see me stumbling over this one because this is tough to kind of explain in a simple way. Again, I'm back to this intangible piece of this. But again, I know a lot of people have this creative imagination that if your life were to go to the script that you want it to be, if you could see yourself upon your deathbed, and you hear this all over the internet, I'm certainly not the first one to even use that little quip, but I like it because it's that Einstein philosophy, but go to the end of it. Go to the end of it. And cheat. Write a good story. You want to live a long, healthy, qualitative life, disease-free, and one day it just ends almost peacefully in your sleep? Wonderful. Write the script that way. Who's to say you're not scripting the ending just that way by saying it? But get out there sometimes and look back at the whole thing. So as you stand here today, because we don't really know what the real script will be, but imagine that this life used up. You look back and you say, there were so many things. There was a time where I stopped and I worked on myself and I became a critical thinker and I became more aware of what had happened and what I didn't like about my bonus section, about what I would like to change, and I began to change it. And I wasn't a kid anymore either. But I got up and I was out of shape. I was mentally weak. I didn't have the right job. And I made a move and everybody said I couldn't. You can't. It's too late. Not true. And I did. And imagine you're looking back at that. Imagine you've been told right now, listening to this, you got 24 months left, maybe. What if you made the decision right at that point in time and you said the last 24 months of his life, of her life, were amazing. Nobody could believe what had happened because in that final bonus section, there was only a little bit left. He did this. She wrote that. They created this. Who said you can't do that? But you can't do it unless you really look at this piece of life. Well, each one of us is just a piece, but yours matters completely, utterly, and deeply to you. And it's really never too late to do something. I'm not saying everything. Yes, you don't have the athletic body you had when you were 19, when you were all of a sudden 73 years old. I get it. But there's wisdom there. There's insight there. There's creativity. There's an ability to get through the fear. Now that you see, oh my gosh, the dash is almost over for me. I better go down and take that art class. I better go try to start that little company. I always wanted to learn this, and I'm going to take that course. I don't care if I'm the oldest one in the class. I'm going to do it. See, you have to get to the end of the story of time to see that it's okay to start these things, even if you think it's a little time. What's an hour with somebody that you really, really, really care about? What's that worth if you knew that was the last hour? But yet we let the 24 months and the 36 months and these periods of time where somebody gets sick and something falls apart, and we sit there and we gnash our teeth and we fret. That's the issue with time. Here, it's finite. I'm not going to get into a religious context. You all know, if you have a never-ending concept of time, you all know the wonderfulness that you're preparing for. God bless you on that one, right? Go for it. That's where I'm at. But I still, in spite of that context, I have this finite period of time, including this very podcast, where I wanted to do something to benefit others. This is my own bonus section. What's yours? And the last point here was, and I touched upon it, combine time and love for the best life, the best usage of that dash. Because when you really think about it, number one, I would say you certainly can start with loving yourself. I mean, there's just not enough self-love out there. I mean, I'm just shocked at how many people look in the mirror and they need to do this, or they need to put that clothing on, or this makeup on, or get that surgery, or say this thing about themselves. I mean, it's incredible. And I don't know whether it's just the pressures to try to, create some bizarre idealistic version of ourselves instead of just doing us. As time goes on for me, it's amazing that as I slow down and I'm more conscious of things, how beautiful and fabulous people are, and their opinions are, in everything that we use in a prejudiced way. And I'm not talking about just race. I mean, just anything to prejudice us, to keep us safer in the own little small world that we have. Break free of that. Express a self-love. And when you do that, you won't be so white-knuckled and angry at everybody else. And you can allow yourself to hear, to see differences. So in that time, these days are becoming more rich. You're going into places you never saw yourself before, out of fear, out of previous belief systems. It's just exciting again when you can break free. So by combining that time with that love, especially for other people, even if it's just a respect for other people. I mean, love's a heavy thing. Even if you just saw the humanity in people. And as of the recording of this podcast, we are in turmoil all over the country. And issues that are hundreds of years old are bubbling up. And the reason they're bubbling up is because we're finally beginning to see, through a transparent media world, empathy for humanity. The one core thing that we all share in this continuum of time, that we're all trying to hang on to, is our humanity, our existence. And if I see it in you and you see it in me, time and its use is so much more interesting. All right, let me go back and take a look at this. This is a tough one. And hopefully, as I agitate my own thought, trying to make sense of how to best use my time, I help you by saying this. I challenge you to think, why is your time your most precious asset? Because we can get caught up in a lot of tangibles. How much money do I have? How big is my house? Where do I live? Where do my kids go to school? What kind of car do I drive? Pretty easy to get sucked into stuff that we think we're thriving around, but we're really not. And the first point I make is time is an intangible asset, which is why we take it for granted. It's just hard to see. We don't have it like, money in my hand, a car in my driveway, right? A fancy house, whatever. It's all there. It's intangible. I can't see it. Next is what I thought myself is, like Einstein trying to come up with his theory of relativity relative to travel alongside the beam of light. Why don't we get up above our own time and try to see it in its entirety, which would bring us to the third point. you're going to see it typically as to where you are today and what has already happened. It's much more difficult to see out in the future, certainly without a plan. But script it. You're just a piece of time that's going to be used up, and you can script it. That's where I was struggling with that third point, is I really wanted to say you can script it. Get way out at the end of it and try to write the rest of it to go along with where you're at and where you've been. It's fun. It's a creative process. But lastly, and most importantly, when you are in this precious block of time, a lot of the quality that you will rate yourself about has to do with your interaction with people. Think about solitary confinement for a minute. People go flat out crazy in solitary confinement. They go crazy, locked in a cage with no freedom to use the time and no opportunity to interact with other people. They go crazy. I'm not saying that a lot of you might not like your solitude, but there's something beautiful about sharing time and quality time, listening to others, supporting others, because by definition, you get lifted up in yours and the quality of your time is inevitably going to improve. All right? So let me summarize it this way. When we're young, our concept of time is that it's endless and that it may very well be. There is certainly a reality that on earth, it's an intangible asset that suddenly one day goes away. So it's best to use your time doing what you love with and around the people that love you back. That way you have a real quality dash. All right, remember, you can take immediate action if you want to start taking these concepts and wrestling with them like I'm doing here today. And I fought this one a little bit. You can feel it, right? But I'm not going to polish this up. This is a journey. I told you in the beginning of this podcast, if you listen to the opening episode, I don't know where I'm going, but I'm certainly going to leave a footprint to show you how to critically think through things so that you can use these concepts too. But you can move in a better direction each time because I'm going to take the notes or have somebody take them, post them at freethinkingtools.com, and you can take them down. But I'm going to try to keep it up to date. So there'll only be a couple episodes up there so you're not overwhelmed, because I know you won't do anything if you are. As a longtime coach, I get that. Less is more. But also, please don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you might be listening so that you don't miss out on any insights each time we upload an episode. We also post all of these on social media channels, and I say all of the major ones were there and will continue to be so as new ones come up if so. So remember, turn on those notifications for the bonus section, and you won't miss the reminders. We'd also appreciate it. Please, would you share the content with other people just like you? People that are looking to challenge themselves a little bit deeper. And you can join our mission of becoming truly people for others. Hey, thanks for listening, but remember this key point here. Nobody's coming for you. So go get to work on yourself, and I will see you in the next episode.